Do you have children? Do you know a child? I have 4. It seems like a lifetime ago when I heard the words raped, molested, violated. I heard words that no parent ever wants to hear about any child, let alone their own. She was 7 years old, my firstborn, and the perpetrator was the man that I married. Hours later, I would find myself standing in an emergency room on the side of a bed, holding my baby's hand, looking into her eyes and telling her that I love her and how proud of her I was. She was being touched and examined in places that little girls should never be touched. Samples of her hair taken, and other parts of her body being checked for evidence. I wanted to cry, but couldn't. I wanted to scream, but couldn't. What I did know was that somehow I had to make it okay. I had to dig deep inside of my soul and grab hold of my faith in order to keep from doing what my flesh wanted and almost needed to do because of what he had done. I've often tried to remember if I was breathing or merely listening intensely. I was trying to rewind the day, the night, the moment, trying to figure out how, why, where, when, what had I missed? I didn't know. My daughter would forever be changed. And I would always find myself trying to lessen the damage and always trying to rescue her. In an instant, everything that I thought I knew about my life was a lie. Everything that I thought I knew about my husband was an even bigger lie. And everything that I believed about myself was about to be tested. See, he was a predator, but not just any predator, the one that I married, the father of my children, the man that I allowed into my life, who betrayed my trust and violated my daughter in the most heinous way. He would receive a 20-year sentence. I've always been optimistic and open-minded, but in that moment, I had more questions than answers. I began wondering if this happened to my daughter and I was the advocate, the voice of safety for so many, and yet I missed this in my own home. How many other children was this happening to? I became more determined than ever to stop it and to raise awareness to save others. A few years ago, Harry Belafonte came to Birmingham, and I had the rare opportunity of having a one-on-one conversation with him. Imagine that, me, Harry, yes. I know that my mother was screaming, "That's my daughter!" from heaven. She would be so proud. We were talking about my life and my work in human trafficking when he said something very profound. What are you really willing to do for others? Because most people don't have what it takes to put it all on the line. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. And I knew going forward and telling our story out loud was not going to be easy or comfortable, but necessary to save lives. RAVE, raising awareness about the victimization and exploitation of children who are tricked, traumatized, and trafficked in homes, schools, and communities here in America and across the world. Did you know that human trafficking is the fastest growing billion-dollar criminal enterprise in the world? Victims who are sold for sex, labor, and organ exploitation are trafficked every day on highways and corridors throughout the US, 95 in the Northeast, 5 and 10 on the West Coast, 20 in the Southeast, and 80, 90, and 40 go across the entire United States. The trafficking of persons is more lucrative than firearms and drug dealing because a victim can be used over and over and over and over again. Now, maybe you recall the kidnapping of 300 Nigerian girls, which raised national and international awareness about child trafficking, the extreme exploitation and enslavement of victims. There was a great sense of urgency felt by people from all across the world to find, rescue, and return these children to their families. Every day, messages of hope, outrage, and determination could be seen on television about what could and should be done. And yet, the flame has burned to a flicker, and the outrage has become a murmur. Now, I'm not saying that no one's doing anything. Oh, there are numerous organizations, agencies, and individuals who are tirelessly working to raise awareness about human trafficking. But I want to bring this conversation closer to home, because this is not just a Nigerian problem. This is our problem. Have you heard of 5-year-old Shania Davis, who was reported missing in North Carolina? And yet she really wasn't missing. She was sold by her mother to pay a drug debt. And what about 8-year-old Relisha Rudd, who's been missing from a shelter in Washington, D.C.? And Brittany Woods, who has been indicated as a victim in one of the largest incestuous sexual pedophile rings right here in Alabama. Innocent, vulnerable, trafficked, gone. These are just 3 of the children, and there are thousands more. Thousands more. Child predators have made the most of today's technology to look inside our homes and lives, to gain access to our children, to lure them into situations that they sometimes don't return from. And when they do, they are forever changed. But what about if we shifted the atmosphere and made use of the exact same technology to combat their efforts, to educate and save lives? Join me and others on social media for Child Watch for Human Trafficking, so you can find out about how to raise awareness about the victimization and exploitation of children. We are all responsible for keeping the lights on for our children. We are all responsible for the preservation of humanity. Do you have children? Do you know a child? Will you be that one? Child watch for human trafficking. I'm not trying to shock you. I'm trying to scare the hell out of you. Thank you.